streaming. Now it says live. There it is.
There we go.
All right. Hell ever, dude. Garbage platform. It's only good for funny cat videos and
this YouTube idea will never catch on.
Heroes of Storm VODs. Hang on a second, my wife's calling me.
All right.
Bone Razor minions. That's a weird one. Love, money, rock and roll.
I mean, it just sounds like you put a bunch of words into a meat grinder.
Love, money, rock and roll. That's a Destiny gun right there. Tyrant's Blessing is too, but we shouldn't have too many of those.
Tyrant's Blessing has to actually be one.
Yeah. Sonic costumes and Bean Hill Zone come to Fall Guys. Oh, that's cool. Fall Guys is fun.
Fall Guys is fun.
I bought it before it went free to play.
Did you? Did you get your legacy grandfather points or whatever?
Yeah, there was something that we talked about it on one of the shows we did a few weeks ago. It was like,
it seems like they gave you some crowns.
Forgot what it was now, but there's like some kind of thing that it's just the Steam version.
Oh yeah, that's no longer
the collector's
available.
edition Steam version that no one else can get.
You know, I've thought about that since then too. Like sometimes I see the one on Epic and I'm like,
yeah, nobody wants that. Epic. More like Epic micro games.
You know, was Epic Pinball an Epic game? Or was it just called Epic Pinball? Do you remember Epic Pinball?
Yeah, dude. Who doesn't?
Was that a game that Epic?
Was that the one with the Android? The Android pinball? That
yeah,
shareware one?
Yeah. Uh-huh. That probably had nothing to do. It was published by Epic Mega Games.
Hell yeah, it was.
I have one for the news speedrun.
You know, how come nobody has gone back?
Speedrun.
Like, where is?
It's more like a smaller discussions.
All right.
Hold on a second.
Where is the PS Plus service that like gives you the full version of all these shareware games from the 90s?
Oh my gosh, would you pay for that?
I would pay for that.
No,
I would pay for that.
Oh, the full version of all of them?
Yeah.
I never played full version of like Doom 1. I never played it.
I know.
Until like later. Like back in the day when it was relevant, I never played it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like look at all these shareware games. Like I never played more than that one table of Epic Pinball.
That was probably the only one, or was there more than one?
No, there's a whole bunch. There's a PAX. There's like.
But yeah, the problem was you had to like mail in money, or so they'd send you discs or something.
That's all we had back then. We barely.
I understand that. It sucked though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and when you were like 12, it's like not something you can just do on your own. You know, you don't have a checkbook, so you just. So all my friends, my friends and I passed around floppy disks during junior high. We'd pass them around to our friends, and
you copied that floppy?
Yeah, that's the thing. They were all shareware games because none of us had real games.
Oh yeah,
one of my buddies had Descent. Remember that shit game? That's not. Yeah, it was great. I just got lost every time you played it because it was so disorienting.
I didn't get ill very much, but I get sick playing.
That one was very disorienting.
It was disorienting.
Like, actually using all 6 degrees of freedom.
Yeah, like you'd come to an intersection and there was like 12 different ways you could go.
And then you have to remember like where that game sucked. I mean, people like think it was great, but I'm sure it does not hold up at all.
Like that.
Star Control 2, how about that? Retronauts just had an episode on Star Control 2, and then I went and downloaded the HD remaster of Urquan Masters. Yeah, not the new one. No.
Oh, the
Star Control Origins. No, I downloaded Urquan Masters HD edition.
What was that dude in Star Control Origins? He was always like very moist and whatever.
Oh yeah, Fwippy or whatever his name was. Yeah. Was that his name? Or Fwippy was the Spothy from Star Control 2.
It was like I always assumed his voice was like this.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't play enough of that game. It wasn't as good as Star Control 2. It tried to be. But yeah, at least you listen to that retro. If you played Star Control 2, That Retronauts episode is for you.
Somehow I have not been listening to Retronauts. I need to go back.
Neither have
and
I.
see.
I only listen to retro video game podcasts when the topic is something I'm interested in. So I subscribe to it, but rarely listen.
Yeah, Retronauts was like my first podcast ever that I listened to.
Really?
My first was there was a
mine was One Up Yours.
Mine was the giant, not Giant Bomb, the GameSpot, whatever it was called back in the day.
But those
GameSpot, CADcast, and there was an Xbox 360 podcast called
Major Nelson.
No, it was not. It wasn't Major Nelson. It was like a separate. It was like an achievement. I can't remember it. It was I really liked it. It was like Xbox 360. What was it called, dude?
One Up Yours taught me what podcasts were.
Yeah,
then I was like, wait, there's a bunch more of these.
See, I think I picked up Retronauts, and then that directed me. I mean, One Up Yours was the show.
Yeah, it was like the flagship or whatever.
And so I would listen to like EGM Now, and that was
Sarcastic Gamer. I liked until they stopped doing their thing. They had a few podcasts too.
One Up was like where I came from. I was like,
when did you guys start listening to podcasts?
2007.
Yeah, that was about me.
Something like that.
It was the year my son was born, 2007.
I remember I was shoveling my driveway, and I was just like, "This is so miserable. What's a podcast?"
You just created it out of thin air.
My Extra Life I listened to.
Existence.
That wasn't a video game podcast though. It was nerdy. It was a geek. My Extra Life. The guy that started that. It doesn't exist anymore. But he was the guy that made the Instance, the World of Warcraft podcast. That was like
huge. Is the Instance still going? Scott Johnson.
They canceled the Instance because they didn't have anything to talk about, and they all started hating WoW. Not hating it, but they weren't actively engaged in it anymore. And then they had so they were running it for a while as a generic video game podcast, and then they ended up shuttering that too because they had their Heroes of the Storm podcast turned into a general gaming podcast when Heroes of the Storm canceled HGC.
Yeah, when Blizzard canceled that.
And so and Core like took off. So it's still called Core, but that's like the general gaming podcast that Scott Johnson does. He has like.
So he's still out there making podcasts.
He's still irrelevant. He lives literally like 3 or 4 miles from my house.
Oh really? I didn't realize he was a Utahn.
He is. I've ran into him a few times. In fact, I went to a couple of his Nerdtacular events back in the day. We sponsored one with Geeks.
Cool.
So, and I ran into him at Comic-Con. He was there with his daughter doing Artist Alley stuff. It's kind of cool. Anyway.
Hey, let's try that click to start thing. I'm kind of curious.
Oh, recording when we click?
I've got 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stop then.
Let's do this. I'm going to stop mine.
And 1, 2, 3, click. Is that what we're going to do?
Did you do it? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Count though.
Okay.
Oh wait, so now I got to stop. I got to give up this 8 minutes and
I got.
10 minutes of gold. Oh yeah. It's only you only can hear the good stuff if you're listening on YouTube. All right, ready?
I've looked. I don't think YouTube is working.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it.
Is it? Because for some reason I'm going to our webpage and it's not.
I think it's going to be harder to sync It's going to be harder to sync this up because.
Yeah,
let's do both. Let's do both. Let's do both, and we can see.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
So 1, 2, 3, click, and then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, clap, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, clicks first.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, click.
Click.
Got it.
Okay. Done. Clicked.
Now we're gonna clap, and then Jeremy will tell us. Like you'll have those. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Mine's at 9 seconds.
Mine also is.
Mine's just after 9 seconds.
Yeah, just after 9 seconds. Wow, this is great.
This is going to be awesome.
It's a Christmas miracle. All right. It's going to make it so much easier. It's going to shave literally seconds off of your edit time. So, all right. You ready?
Ready, Freddy.
You know what's going to happen?
Let's do it.
Jared's going to pop onto the Discord, and suddenly our stream's going to be jacked.
Is he going to pop on?
I don't know. Oh, shit. Cannot wait to hear what Dale has to talk about. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game by Show podcast. It is August the 9th, 2022. We're here again doing the Game by Show. It's Tuesday. Sorry, it's Tuesday. We didn't record yesterday, our normal scheduled time. So if you were waiting around on our YouTube channel, hopefully you were catching up on all the video content we have up there. We have decades of content, decades worth.
I mean, it's not like you don't have anything to listen to if you just show up and kick rocks and look around. Like that John Travolta GIF, where he's like looking around, except there's everything everywhere.
Oh, the one from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Feel free to send your GIF comments to Jeremy on the Discord directly.
GIFs. Send GIFs, please.
Feel free to do that there. Jared's not with us today, so we wish him well. We have no idea. He's just not here today. And we're doing it. We're making we're having a threesome. And we all have very important things to talk about. How's last week been for y'all? Y'all hanging out, doing okay?
So right? I have something kind of interesting. So I had the airline lost my luggage on a business trip where I was a presenter at a professional conference, and it did not go well. Actually, that whole ordeal. They told me, first of all, everything is a mess in airports and airlines in general. Do not go. If you're going to go somewhere, don't go. It's bad right now. Like the Thursday and Friday that I was there, they had canceled like 1,200 flights and then canceled 1,600 flights.
Oh my gosh!
And 6,000 flights were delayed. It was just a mess.
Everyone's traveling. It's crazy.
They gave somebody else my luggage tag, and so they couldn't find the thing for a long time. And so they were like, okay, the next day. So I only had my and the funny thing was, I was transporting all of my display and presentation stuff in this big, suitcase. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just bring my duffel with my own clothes. And everybody's like, no, Jeremy, there's so much room in there, because we have like a monitor and a computer and stuff. And they're just like, just put your clothes in there. It'll add extra padding to this monitor. I'm like, you guys, that's great. What a great idea. I never thought of that. So I put all my clothes in there, and I didn't even keep anything for me on my, I take my backpack, my personal item or whatever. So they lose it. And so there I am. And I show up to the airport. This is in Chattanooga. And when the guy kind of mentioned something about Denver, because I wasn't flying through Denver, I was going through Detroit. And the guy's like, we'll get you through Denver. And I'm like, well, that's a weird choice. Maybe my bag will meet up with me again,
Yeah.
And turns out that was not the case, because I went to the desk. I went to the desk at my destination, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. So I went to my hotel, whatever, ironed my rumpled, stale travel clothes, hung them up for the next day. Next day, well, that evening, I finally got a hold of somebody, because you can't talk to anyone. It's like an hour and a half wait time, but they'll do this new text chat thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've got this flight number. We're going to put it on a freight flight. And then this flight's going to come in. It'll be there tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Like, I'll rough it. So ironed my clothes, wore them again the next day, my travel clothes, not, super.
So you're in like sweatpants and flip-flops, right?
I was in like jeans and like just kind of a rumpled up like short sleeve button up shirt or whatever. It was not what I was planning to wear. But I'm like, it'll be fine. At 10 a.m. the next day, I'll just run over to the airport and get it or whatever. Well, come to find out the next day, that flight was not even going to my city. So I'm like, what? And so they're like, oh yeah, we don't know where it is. And I'm like, okay, I knew that. And then they're, I got in touch with them again later on in the day, and they're like, we think it's still in Denver. I'm like, all right, this is not good. Can you get it? And actually, then I went so here's.
Did you fly to Denver and get it yourself? Is what you should have done.
No. So by the end of the second day, when they did not have an update for me, I said, you know what? I'm going shopping, and I'm billing the airline for it. So nice. I did. Yeah, I bought a suit.
How do you bill the airline?
They have a whole claim program, but they're like, oh no, $50 a day is the amount. That's a reasonable amount. That we'll pay you. I had like, including the stuff that I needed to like present. I mean, and let me tell you. So, I mean, I'm not going to like state my case here for the whole world or anything, but I've been at this company 20 years. It's medical devices. I'm a professional speaker, and I'm there in my like re-ironed stale clothes and stuff at a medical device conference. So I went shopping. I went to the Men's Warehouse. Like I decided.
Oh my gosh, top of the line.
Flight. Yeah, that's right. No, I went and I got a suit. And I bought it on my credit card. So we'll see how this goes. But it was over $2,000 by the time I was done. A suit.
Oh my gosh.
And then my other clothes, because the thing is I couldn't just. And here's the thing, like I was not immediately like, yeah, they lost my luggage, I'm going shopping. I was like, no, like it'll be fine, whatever. But then it did not work out, and I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like I'm not going to wear these things again. So I went out, but so I needed some professional attire, but then I couldn't just wear that. So I got, some sneakers and some casual clothes and stuff. And by the end, it was not a small bill. And I was like, well, this is really weird. And I'm the kind of guy who will rough it, like I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I'll just make do. But It just was not right. And so the upshot of it is, and then it took them a long time. Like after that, on my final day, so the next day after that, I get in touch with them. And I'm like, please do not send it here. This is my last day here. I'm leaving this evening. Please send it back where I came from. So they sent it like through Atlanta, like some other place, and it got there after I was already back home.
To Salt Lake or to Chattanooga?
Yeah, no, to Chattanooga, because I'm like, please, I'm begging you. I said, I'm literally begging you. And they're like, oh, sir, they'll contact you, and then you can tell them. And I'm like, okay. Like, I trusted these guys all the way through, and they let me down consistently every single time. So the current status, as of recording time right now, around midnight, about 1 o'clock tonight, 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, I guess, my bag is going to come in from like Atlanta or whatever. And then I got to figure out if I'm going to go get it, or I'm going to demand that they deliver it to me, or I don't know what. But I got a nice suit, and I'm not apologizing about it. And actually,
have you gotten reimbursed yet from the airline?
Their whole reimbursement thing is a mess right now too. So they're behind schedule. One of the representatives said they're 30 to 60 days to resolve reimbursement claims.
Well, you're billing for interest too.
That's the thing. Like, by the time I get my credit card statement, like, it's, so we'll see. I expect they're going to fight me about it. But actually, the kind of thing was at the beginning, you guys know me. I'm like, oh, like, it's fine, like, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to have to get some stuff because I don't know what to do. But now I'm like, you bastards. Like, I'm like more angry about it the more time passes. So that's what happened to me. And
cool.
Yeah. So it's been a week. And to boot, I got this is why we didn't record yesterday. I came down with something like some kind of head throat thing going on. So that's been a little bit miserable. No, it's just a garden variety muck or whatever. But the thing is, I wasn't even scheduled to go on this thing. They were asking me because they couldn't get anyone else to do it. And I was like, oh, fine. And between you and me and the internet guys, like, I would have been fine for them to just get my bag to where it was, and for me to just live a humble, normal, non-Men's Warehouse life.
Sure.
Like that would have been just better for me. Like, I just would rather have lived my life. But they forced me to do this. And I have not mentioned the name of the airline, but I guess I said where they have their hubs, so you can figure out.
It was probably
it's Delta. Spoilers. Salt Lake has a Delta hub, and so does Atlanta.
Salt Lake and Atlanta,
and they fly through Denver often.
Yeah. Yep. So,
well, my experience at the airport recently was, I had a little bit of the runaround, but overall it was okay. They rescheduled me for like a flight the next day. It would have been like 36 hours or something. So I just got on the the app, like you were talking about, like the chat with like the next available guy who you could basically chat with immediately, or you could like wait on a phone call for half an hour, or you could stand in this line for 2 hours.
Half an hour. Oh man, my wait times were literally 90 minutes a shot. And they would always try to get me to go to their app to like look stuff up, and that app didn't tell me nothing at no time, and their website didn't tell me anything either. It was just
whoever it was that was on the other end of that IM, like, just like really did me a solid. They had me like within like 5 minutes. They had me booked on a flight that was going to happen in like about 3 hours instead of 36 hours, and it was on a different airline too. They like booked me like from United over to Alaska.
Those guys all know each other. It's like this huge cartel.
It's all there's only one airline.
I gotta say though, like, again, even in my fist shaking, it's got to be a lot of complexity to move people around the way they do. Like, I can't even imagine.
Oh, definitely.
What it's like, but that still doesn't excuse them for really like 10 times in a row dropping the ball on me.
Yeah.
But, well, that's good, Dale. That sounds great. I'm glad someone had a good experience.
Yeah, I got another trip coming up in October that I'm gonna have to take. So
I'm happy to never go anywhere. Like, I'm seriously just thinking about, the great reset.
I've only been on a plane like twice in the last since COVID happened.
I've gone for personal. I've gone for personal thing. Well, I guess I went for school, but this is the first time.
You went to freaking Israel, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, no, I know, but this is the first time that occupationally, like for my job, in like 2 years. I can't even think of the last thing I went to for work, but I'm happy to never go.
Last thing I went for work was last October, and before then it was pre-COVID. So.
Yeah.
You know me. I used to travel all the freaking time. I don't have to anymore, which is great.
It's miserable.
Yep.
Work travel is
Welcome to the Work Travel Podcast. We're a bunch of 40-year-olds that have to travel sometimes, and we hate it.
And we talked to someone on some app. They told us what to do.
Yeah.
Don't fly Delta unless you're in Utah. Then it is the correct choice. If you're in the hub city, you got to fly the local airline. They have the best flights. The most direct.
Portland
How about that?
No airport, no airline has their hub at Portland.
Really?
Oh, so you got to pick up all the connecting flights to in through.
I get
hubs?
a lot of flights. I get a lot of Alaska.
Okay.
Alaska has done pretty well by me.
You like
fly
you fly through
Alaska
LAX?
Airlines?
Is that what you do?
Alaska Airlines.
Okay.
Is Portland an international airport, or do you have to fly through like LA? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
There are international flights. Like you can go to Vancouver.
Oh, of course. Okay, that makes sense.
Hawaii.
That's not international. Hawaii. Can't wait to get out of this country.
Cabo.
I'm moving to Hawaii.
You can go to Cabo, San Lucas.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure there used to be flights directly to Tokyo, but then those were Delta, and like they canceled them for a while, and then they were like going to bring them back, but then COVID happened. But then I don't know. I think they might have them again now.
I'm waiting right now. Like I want to see what happens when a major carrier decides, like, nope, can't do this anymore. It's not sustainable. We're done. And then like that would cause like a chain reaction.
It wouldn't happen. The government would bail them out first.
What if air travel just like stopped, and then like
it would be a problem for the world economy.
Queen Mary would sail again, like everything would go on.
Well, you've seen those studies, like when 9/11 happened, and like all the air traffic in that area was down for like 2 days or whatever. All these crazy natural events that never happened during those 2 days, basically.
I remember that you could look up in the sky and not see them polluting poison with the contrails.
Contrails.
Yes.
No
injecting
contrails.
us with 5G.
I was breathing easy for about a week.
They were injecting us with 2G back then. It was great.
Yeah, 2G.
I was able to make my own choices for a couple of days. It was weird. It was a little bit frightening.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for dealing with this bullshit, listeners. Welcome to the Video Game Podcast. We've been recording for like 10 minutes talking about airplanes.
It's been good.
13, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, many minutes.
We got some video games to talk about, though, for sure. This is the Game By Show. Not a lot of new stuff, I don't think, this year, nor do we have a big news show. So we're kind of... Video games are in a weird place right now. Video games are in a weird place because nothing... Jeremy and I were just looking at the new release list for like the rest of the year, and there's like... I can count on two hands... how many video games are like AAA, like big boy?
Guys, we're still
releases.
in the launch window for these new consoles. You gotta understand it. Yeah,
they're what, 2 years old now? Come November, is that it? 2020 they came out, right? Yeah, COVID year. Anyway, all right, Dale, lay it on us, man. Dale's got some new stuff. Let's go.
I'm very interested.
Skyrim. I've been playing some Skyrim. No, that's a joke, but it is actually true. I haven't been playing some Skyrim. No, I finally did try a VR. I tried a couple of my friends.
Please tell me it was Hatsune Miku.
No, it wasn't. A couple of my friends have picked up the Meta Quest 2.
What?
Oculus
Quest 2. My bad.
It's the Kanye West.
No, it's
Kanye
Meta.
West VR system.
Meta Quest 2.
K West.
Who's Meta World Peace? Who was Meta World Peace?
Oh yeah, he was like a basketball.
That was Ron Artest.
Oh, okay, Ron. Really, that guy?
Yeah, that guy. The guy that beat up everyone at the Pacers game.
The guy who would
remember that?
throttle people. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I watched that game live. I was watching that game. Anyway,
when he did
go on.
Okay, so
Ron Artest.
So Dale is throttling people in VR now.
Yeah.
That was it, man. Like
actually, throttle was involved because I played a plane game where you're it's like, what is it called? Okay, so the Meta Quest 2. This is the wireless, self-contained, newest, I think, version of the Oculus thing, with the two freaky little controllers,
got one right here.
And not tethered to anything, so completely wireless.
Got one right here.
Yeah, exactly. So people probably kind of know what this is. For me, it's the first time I've ever tried one of these VR thingamajigs. And to start with, I loaded up on my friend's system here. What is it called? Like Dogfights Over the Pacific, something or other, World War II, something.
That sounds like a Jared game.
I'm sure it's available if you search the Oculus App Store or whatever it's called. But yeah, so we loaded that up, and the first thing you do in that one is just basically take off. You're on an aircraft carrier, right? And so I neglected to like do the Oculus training or whatever, because I've played video games before. I know how this stuff works.
I know what I'm doing. Everybody stand back.
Yeah, exactly. And the way my friend had it set up was like the play area was like, first of all, I was sitting on a couch the whole time. And so the play area is very straightforward. It's just a a square around you basically. So there's no real issues with that. I didn't really have to what's the word? Coordinate?
Calibrate
Calibrate.
your
I didn't have to collaborate or coordinate or any of that stuff.
no teamwork.
Because it was already basically done, right? Because my friend was already using it. Yeah, so I jumped into the game, and I was in a P-38 or something or other. I don't know, some World War II fighter on the American side. I took off by grabbing the yoke, which is just actually a single stick. It's not a Y-shaped yoke or whatever. In the cockpit. I don't know how true to life this thing was, but so there was a yoke, and then there was a throttle, right? Almost like you're doing like a HOTAS setup, right? And so I throttled up to the forward, and then you get going, and when you're at 100 miles an hour, you can pull back a little bit and then lift off, and then once you've lift off, you gotta raise your landing gear, and then that's the mission is over. This is sort of the preamble mission,
right? So
and then it takes
training.
you in. Yeah, it takes you into the next thing, which is you're flying around, and there's like some dirigibles.
So is this in the Pacific Theater or in the European?
Yeah,
theater?
yeah, Pacific
okay.
Theater. Yeah, somewhere out in the ocean. Actually, no, it was over some land because I remember there being some land. But yeah, in the second mission, it's sort of like target practice with these 5 blimp sort of thing, like targets basically, and you're just kind of flying around, just basically like any old flying game, and trying to line up a shot and take a shot, and but while you're doing your typical flying stuff with kind of not really a HUD, a heads up display, because it's trying to kind of be period accurate a little bit.
It's like heads down, like you got to look at all the
gadgets. You look at all the stuff that's below you. You do have like a little fakey HUD thing that's kind of like where your reticle is, right? So like when you go over a target, like your reticle changes from like blue to red or whatever.
Right.
But of course, while you're doing that, you're in VR, so you can kind of like tilt your head and look all around and stuff.
See, that's what I want to know about. Like you're describing it, like fine, like airplanes. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, how did you react to this? Like, was it good? Did you get ill? Did you find it cool that you could look off to the side and like see, oh, there's that guy over there, let me just pull a Yui? And...
So in the plane game, I was fine. Didn't feel sick or anything. I probably could have adjusted the focal length or something to be a little bit better, but
to your actual eyeballs from the
screen, exactly,
right?
to my particular head shape or whatever.
Yeah. You got a weird shape,
but it was fine as it was. So I think what I found myself doing though was probably not making use of that functionality as much as I should have, because I'm of course used to playing video games where you just look ahead, right? Like I'm used to always doing that. I did it to some degree, especially in the next thing I played after. So the plane game.
Did you shoot anyone down? Did you get him?
I could not actually make the. I could not hit anything basically. I was like flying right at one of these dirigible targets, and like trying to shoot it with my machine gun, and it's like I'm lined up with it. How come it's not blowing up? And so then I just flew right into it, and and it just stops you there, like freeze frame or whatever.
And you're probably wondering what I've been, that's exactly me. You're probably wondering how I.
So my friend took over for a little bit on that game, and
was he like the whole time like, give it to me, Dale, give it to the girl?
No, he was, but when he put it on, he was playing. He also then like mirrored the display through his iPhone up to his TV. So basically, like he was playing it, and then I could watch what he was doing, right? And he was just doing the standard, dogfighty sort of stuff. Except he was doing a little bit better at it because he played the game a few times. So after that, I got a chance to check out the roller coaster simulator game.
Dude,
I don't know what that was called.
No.
On this one, it was it's just some generic. Both of these just had super generic titles. I couldn't I don't even know what they're called. But so on the roller coaster one, I loaded it up and I did the dinosaur park one, right? So it's basically like you're on a roller coaster through Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, okay.
And this one, it's kind of Pokemon Snap ish. There's a quote unquote shooting component, but it's like you're taking pictures of the dinosaurs, or you're doing selfies of yourself, like while you're while you're on the roller coaster. And it's about like an 8-minute roller coaster ride, which is super long as far as roller coasters go. It's like 16 times longer
Hey,
than
it's
normal
no Jeremy
most
Supreme.
roller coaster. That's true. But yeah, not really too much to say about this one because it's not really all that interactive. This one really is a whole lot of like looking around and.
Did you get sick playing that game?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. You get ill
at parts. Yeah, at parts I did find it sort of queasy making. Like it tells you when you start, it says this roller coaster goes up to 99 miles an hour. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Come on, let's go. And there were parts where I had to like shut my eyes for a couple of seconds to sort of recenter. And it was like specifically when if the coaster was going like around a big sweeping sort of bend, and I moved my gaze off of the center point to like look at something over here, the combination of those two things, and my body being sat still on a couch and not actually moving around,
not moving,
is enough to sort of make you nauseous a little bit. But I mean, I guess I have a pretty good sense for that. So I just kind of like could feel it coming on, sort of recentered my vision, just closed my eyes for a couple of seconds, reopened them, and then I was good to go. And I didn't feel any sort of like lingering after effects or anything like that. So so that was, I mean, that was interesting. I got a chance to finally try one of these things out after, all the hullabaloo over the last decade or whatever. And my final sort of impression of these two, probably, I don't know, 20 minutes total, was kind of like, it's kind of.
But you could see the potential though, right? Like for what we've kind of talked about in the past. Like
how about that?
The present, yeah. I mean, like the Half-Life or whatever. But the potential for for stuff to be large and in your face, and for things to be immersive.
I thought that it would wow me more, like the T-Rex. When the T-Rex was all up in my face, I was like, it's like I do get a sense for it being like big and stuff, but I didn't feel, what's the word?
Affected.
Presence. I didn't feel presence.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I'm too, like.
I think you need to do some better software. I think so okay.
Yeah,
so
maybe if I had played like Half-Life Alyx or something.
I'm not hearing like a flat out denigration of the model. Like it sounds like there's an opening here, at least for Dale Jones.
But I do think that the time, the interval that I played for for a total of probably like 20 minutes, I think that's probably about right. So I think to have an optimal experience, you'd want something that you only played in like bites about that size. So like I don't know what that would be though,
30 minutes.
Like a puzzle game?
Pistol Whip.
Audica.
Super Hot, I guess, maybe.
Super Hot's good. Super Hot's really good in VR. Yeah,
something like that, that you would be basically have a beginning, middle, and end within about 20 to 30 minutes. Because there's also the whole thing of like, it's a little bit heavy, it's a little bit hot, it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. All that stuff.
You do, especially playing the games that are more active. You definitely get, games like Beat Saber or Pistol Whip or like
they had
Space Pirate
Beat Saber on
Simulator.
There. Tried that.
Should have tried that. That's a pretty cool game. I think Pistol Whip's a better game personally, but
next time I'm over there, maybe I'll check it out again. But
you should, man. Like seriously. And Half-Life Alyx is like next level amazing. Like once you get into that game and you got the real good sound and like the graphics are great and you're immersed in that world. Like
Half-Life Alyx is probably only available on
the Index or whatever.
Valve.
No, you can play it with the Quest. You just have to hook it up to your PC, and you can actually stream it over the air now via AirLink, I think is what it's called. So you can have an Oculus Quest, and then it's called AirLink. It streams through your network to your Quest, and I hear it works pretty well.
Get your Half-Life Alyx or your like Resident Evil 8 or whatever. 7. It was 7.
7 is on the PlayStation 4. The PSVR 2 is going to have 7 and 8 or 8 on VR. Anyway, I'd play that again. I'd play 8 if it was in VR. I'd play through it again for sure. Because Resident Evil 7 was my game of the year that year. It's amazing. And Half-Life Alyx was my game of the year it came out, which was 2 years ago, I guess, at this point. I've actually been thinking about Half-Life Alyx a lot lately. I kind of want to play through it again, or at least play through sections of it, because that game is really, really good. That's cool. I'm glad you got to try it out. I think you should keep on, try other things, because I mean, free roller coaster game is not going to have the same quality as
Trains VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trains with a Z.
Super Hot. I mean, if your buddy doesn't have Super Hot, I would recommend Super Hot to him.
That's a good call. They did have Beat Saber, and then I don't know if there were any other like games. He had like the movie theater app and whatever else.
Spreadsheets.
VR. The Job Simulator's good. Cooking Simulator, like those types of games are fun too. Job Simulator is really fun. It's kind of wacky. There's also games like Moss, which are more like third person, where you're the camera, so you're viewing like a little vignette of something that's going on. And you're kind of controlling the character through that.
There was last week. I don't know if it's.
You know what you need to do? You should convince your friend to let you borrow this thing and airlink it to your PC and go spectate a Dota 2 match in VR. Blow your mind. Okay. Because you basically are viewing it from the top down. You can view the entire map from the top down in VR, like you're standing outside of a table watching the game. And then at any given moment, you can zoom in and drop in at ground level, right next to the creep and the heroes, and just be right there in the game. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, cool. Well, Jeremy,
also Skyrim. I played a lot more Skyrim than I did VR.
Did you play Skyrim in VR?
No, just on my PC here.
Oh, it's regular
Skyrim.
All right, man. Yeah. Well, good for you.
Good stuff.
You should see. I don't know if it's still going on, but last week they were doing a free giveaway of Republique, Ryan Payton's game on Oculus. Go check or have your friend check and see, because they were giving it away for free. I think that accounts as one of those top-down sorts of VR games.
Kind of a top-down sort of game, as I recall.
Yeah, see if you can get that for free for your friend or whatever.
It is on Oculus. I see.
It's on both. It's on Quest and
PC.
So the way you get it is you get it on the Rift, and then you have to go to the Quest
store. It's on the Quest store.
Yeah, but if you get the Rift version, then you get the free upgrade to the Quest or something. Anyway, check it out. You maybe get that.
I got the version on PC, and I might as well grab it on the Quest store as well, since it'll be native.
Well, this week I played something that's new to me from a game studio that I'm a big fan of and have long enjoyed their games. They used to be known as Capybara Games, but more recently they've rebranded to Cappy. And these are the guys who did games like Might and Magic Clash of Heroes on the DS. You might remember. Yeah, that was a really good one. They never really went back to. Sound Shape, Super Time Force was one of the ones that I really enjoyed. Kind of the single player, multiplayer, time-based game. One of the most genius games I think I've ever seen before. They also did Critter Crunch. It's been a while since we've heard about Critter Crunch. But their most recent game, and I did not realize this game came out in 2019. So this game is 3 years old, and it is their most recent game. It is called Grindstone. And kind of in the same vein as something like Critter Crunch, this is a game that is sort of a almost like a gem swapping field. So you have just a bunch of like little goblin monsters, just like cruddy little colored monsters. And they're just like ugly and annoying. They're like the little imps from, Sleeping Beauty or something like that. They're just like some weird, dumb little monsters. And the whole game is that you play as this barbarian named George. That's J-O-RJ. And the whole idea is that you string lines of monsters, but they have to be the same color. And you can do them in any of the 8 directions. And you try to string kills. And when you string them up, George just like takes his big sword and just like and there's like monster guts going everywhere and everything. Like kind of the idea of the game is that it's like gory but kind of cute.
It's incredibly satisfying too, by the way.
Yeah. So and the more you get in a row, like George like hulks out and
it's satisfying. Like remember on Pac-Man Championship Edition when you start eating those little big old huge long rows of
it feels like there's a chew or something. Like you just feel like a good bite when he does it. But then you can get these gems. There's like little things that'll drop onto the playing field. Like if you get a bunch of kills in a row, it'll drop a gem. And the gem allows you to change colors. So if you're doing yellow monsters and then you hit a gem, you can bridge over to like red monsters or blue monsters or whatever.
In one cut.
Exactly. And then they add new elements. And it's a very simple, like basically that's the game. Like that's pretty much all there is to it. And then eventually there's a door, there's an exit as you're going up this Mount Grindstone or whatever it is. And there's a door up at the top. So not only do you have to kill a bunch of monsters, usually there's a kill limit for each level or a kill goal. And then you have to get out through the door. And usually you'll try and string that at the end of of a bunch of kills or whatever. And then you win that level. But then within each level, they do that whole 3-star thing where it's like, okay, special monsters will come in there and they have different names for them. There's like creeps are the little monsters. And then there's jerks. Jerks are sort of like mid-boss monsters, and they're always
Mhm.
like weird big-eyed dudes with like cleavers and stuff like that, and they'll have a number on them, like 10. And so the only way that you can kill a jerk is by stringing up to that number, and that gives you enough power. So your dude like gets more, you know, he gets more momentum as he's like the juggernaut or something. Like the more he
Right.
goes, the better kills he can get. So you only kill jerks by stringing up to that level, and then you can kill those guys. And they'll leave guts or they'll leave collectibles. And then there's chests and things. So you've got to kill one of the creeps that has a key, and then that'll unlock the thing, and then you go get the loot and whatever. And basically they just play around with this formula of stringing kills, and that's the whole game. But they do make it fresh by adding like a lot of just interesting spins on it. Like I said, the idea of these jerks. Sometimes you'll
It don't
find a
seem like the
mystic.
levels are like not procedurally generated. They're like actually thought out.
Yes.
That's
Now I
kind of what it
don't know
feels like.
about well, I don't know about the monster configuration, but sometimes they'll put like rocks in the middle of it, or there'll be just different shapes. So sort of like oh, what's that that gem swapping game? Super Soda Squirt or whatever. What's the one that's like
Mhm.
the no,
The
no, no,
the
no, no.
Candy Crush of
Candy Crush. Yes, Candy Crush. Candy Crush. So where the playing field will either be narrow or it'll have like a line of bricks down the middle that you can't get through except in one spot or whatever. So they, they'll give you choke points or they'll kind of design levels that you have to kind of work your way around and stuff. Um, and then they have special events like you can go into carnival mode or whatever, and you get tickets from your kills, and the tickets let you unlock things. And basically, they just, blueprints, like you can unlock blueprints, which will give you extra items. So, for example, at random intervals, some number of the creeps, the little trash monsters, will start to like power up. They'll get like fire on them or something. And if you happen to stop your turn, if you end your streak next to one of those, then they will attack you and you'll lose a heart. You have 3 like life points. But they'll give you extra items, like you can have a shield. So if like, oh man, there's no place for me to stop except here where this dude is going to hit me, you can use your shield and you get 1 use per level or whatever, and you can block the damage. Or they'll have arrows that you can fire or a potion you can drink that'll let you choose where to go next, or whatever. Or you get a broadsword attack that sweeps all around you. So part of it is in that gem swapping, bejeweled sort of way. You want more dudes to drop down because after you kill them, then they'll vertically just kind of all settle into the next round of monsters to come down. And there's just not much to it. Like,
Hmm.
Critter Crunch had, I think, more uh, elegant, or not more elegant, but more complex mechanics, because in that game you were like feeding monsters to other monsters. With this, it's literally what monsters are the same color next to the monsters that I want to get to so that I can get over there.
So do
Um,
you like wish for more, or is what there is enough play for you?
The thing, they really kind of stretch it out. I mean, they really make it, because the thing is, like Legrand says, like getting a good string. Like I got up to I got 30. I couldn't get 35. I got 34 today, which is a great, like that's a good set of combos. And on a field of 60 dudes, like that's half the playing field or whatever. But I, I I could go either way. Like in some cases, I'm kind of like, well, yeah, I guess I've seen what this game has to offer, but they do throw in a lot of extra things. The collectibles is one thing. There's a crafting system. There's a monster
There's no like
encyclopedia
an
for.
inn, like a little town you go back to, and there's
That's right. And
things to do and
there's
people to
like daily
talk to.
quests. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so if you do some of the daily quests, they'll give you extra gems and stuff, and then you use those gems to craft materials or to rejuvenate equipment and basically go back and do it again. But I will say, every time I finish a round and I'm like, oh, that was good. Do I really want to play the next one? I find myself going, well, maybe, and I'll hit the
Yeah, it
button and I'll
was
do it. But
it was a fun diversion. For me, I played it on Apple Arcade. It's been on there for a couple of years now. But
it's
it's good. It was a fun little diversion. It's not something I would sit down and play for hours, but if I was sitting there bored, like on my phone, it was nice to pop that out because it works really well on a touchscreen, as you
yes.
can imagine.
Yeah, and
So
I got it on the Switch, so it actually surprised me. This game is only on iOS, Mac, Switch, and Windows, so they have not brought it to Xbox or PlayStation platforms, which is kind of interesting.
yeah,
But so I got it on Switch because I figured that was the most portable thing that it was on that I could get it on, and it's pretty
yeah. On
enjoyable.
mobile,
Like
it's
I
only
think
on
it's
Apple Arcade, so you can't get it on
mm,
Android.
that's weird. But anyway, so I've been having fun with it, and it does have that satisfying, when you figure out like a good combo, you feel like great about it. And usually it gives you a lot of opportunities. Like it's a little bit like playing Go or something like that, where you just have so many possibilities. There's just a lot of variables, and usually you can find some way to do something that's really cool. When they add a lot of challenge, then I start to be like, nah, maybe I'm not enjoying myself as much. But it's really cool to just string a whole bunch of monsters and play something that's kind of brainless, and yet I still feel really good about it. So I think that's probably how I can best
Sounds like a good review.
Yeah, the music is really good too. Actually, the thing that made me choose it over something else was that the soundtrack has come out on vinyl, and it's got this like chill hop kind of like vibing kind of soundtrack. And
I like that.
yeah, it's kind of cool. I think it's a worthy late entry in the Cappy repertoire, I guess. But yeah, it is limited on platforms. So if you have a Switch, iOS, or a Mac, you can play it on those
only on
platforms.
Apple Arcade on iOS, for the record.
Yeah. So Grindstone, it's good.
Cool. I have been playing a lot of the same stuff. So I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm. Got into a new champion. I've been playing Gazlo, which is a goblin that drops turrets and it's kind of a bruiser, which is pretty fun. New characters. I wanted to play a melee. I play ranged or magic dealers, and so I wanted to play a melee character, and this is a bruiser that I've been having fun with. So I played a lot of that. I played that every day for the last, I don't know, week and a half probably.
I feel like a rising interest in playing some kind of MOBA. I don't know why, but I just feel
Here's
like
the Storm, dude. Play
inside.
It.
I don't know.
League of Legends.
Like, I've been getting. Here's
time.
the thing. I've been getting a lot of like freebie stuff from Amazon Prime, and it's always like League of
That's
Legends
how they get
stuff.
you.
I'm like, I've got all this like free cool stuff, and
free
great
capsules in League of Legends. Mirror.
Like maybe I should try it out. I don't know.
I will check out League of Legends when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. I will. All the champions are there.
Oh yeah, where it's all unlocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I played a lot of Hunt Showdown with the event that's still going on, the Serpent's Moon. Play that every day for since the event started. I think I've played every single day.
That's still a regularly scheduled event, or is it?
No, like this is like it's their first. Usually their events are about 3 weeks long, and you're collecting points and unlocking legendary skins and stuff like that. And this one is interesting because it's actually 2 months long. So it's a 2-month long event. There's a battle pass that you can buy, which I did buy. So in classic battle pass fashion, once you buy into it, you earn enough in-game currency back to buy it again the next season if you want or whatever. If they end up doing this again, which I think they will because it's been very successful. It hit a new record for their peak concurrent users on Steam, which was about 38,000, which isn't huge in Steam numbers, but for this game, it's as big as it's gotten, which is awesome. The game has seen steadily increasing numbers since it launched. So it's not a game that has come out. It's kind of like Rainbow Six Siege, but not as popular, where Rainbow Six Siege came out and nobody played it, and then it slowly just took off. This game is slow, taking off even slower,
slowly maintaining,
but it's increasing its player base to the point where they continue to support and add content. That's all I really care about. So this event actually has a storyline behind it that you can read. There's like every time you unlock a level in the event, you unlock a new chapter in the story. So there's narrative content and stuff like that. But it's good, man. So Hunt Showdown's never been better for sure. It's really good. And also continuing Red Dead Redemption. That's my single player chill game. Just enjoying that game, just cowboying around, just doing the stories, meeting the buds. Like I took this guy out and I accidentally killed him and I felt bad about it. Because I accidentally hit the button. I was going to punch him because he was kind of being a dick to me, but I had my knife out. So I just slit his throat and I'm like, oh shit. And then, but it was too late. I left him on the side.
Reload the game now.
Left him on the side of the mountain. Oh, I went to him and I said, he owed me money. Cause like one of the things is, you have these dudes in the camp that are you're trying to like earn money because you're in this gang and you got all these people that are counting on you and you're trying to run this camp and so everyone's trying to make money. So you got the women are out whoring themselves out at the bar and you've got, the one guy who's lending money and you got to go collect for him and things like that. And you go out and, do whatever you want to do, hunt and sell things or rob stuff or whatever. And so this guy had me out collecting money from this guy. And I got to him and he's like, oh yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but he might know. And it was actually him who the guy I needed to collect money from. So when I went and go talk to the other guy, he's like, oh yeah, he's right over there. And this is the guy I just talked to and he took off on his horse. So I followed him, I roped him, and then he's like, yeah, well, I've got all this. I don't have any money on me now, but I've got this stuff hidden in this tree, this hollowed out tree that's over here. So I'll take you there and you can have whatever it is. And so I followed him there and I put him on the back of my horse and we went over there and got to the tree and I got the money out of the hole in the tree And I'm like, all right. And I could have just left him hogtied there, which would have been funny. But I released him, and as he was walking away, he was like making all these snide comments. And so I like walked up to punch him in the head, but I had my knife out because I just got done cutting him loose. And well, I slit his throat. And
that's going to be my legal defense. I'll be like, Your Honor, I hit the wrong button.
That's the end of that guy. And luckily there was no witnesses around, so I got away with it scot-free. Anyway, that game's really good. I'm excited to keep playing with it. It is definitely like the chill, not in the Heroes of the Storm competitive mood. Don't want to sweat and hunt. So play Red Dead Redemption 2. Stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It's really good. Nice. So that's basically all I've been doing. I've got involved in football again, so here we are playing football. It's football season. So nice. Gaming time is a little bit more limited. So I play, I'll take a break at work and play Heroes of the Storm or a hunt around, and that's kind of where my gaming's been coming from lately.
Well done.
There you go.
Sweet.
Well, new gaming has been coming from new releases from tech-gaming.com, and there's not a lot on offer this week. The only one that
or for the rest of the year, for that matter. Like,
yeah, we were looking at the whole year coming up.
It's weird, right? It's super weird.
It is kind of weird. It is. It's almost like we had better releases during COVID. Bring back COVID. But on the new release list this week is 2 Point Campus, which is one of those I don't know what you call it, like a not a city builder, but like Dungeon Keeper, where you build like a stronghold or whatever. Except in this case, it's a university campus. It is a sequel or spiritual successor to 2 Point Hospital, which came.
There's a couple of those games, aren't there?
Sega. There's a whole bunch, but this is sort of like if Mr. Bean were designed, like it's sort of got that British sense of humor where it's like, oh, we're going to make a lot of puns based on different diseases or different classes that you can take or what have you. It's sort of a comedy university building simulator kind of thing. And 2 Point Hospital was actually really good, so it'll be interesting to see. And actually, the weird thing is they've been releasing content updates on Amazon Gaming to get like free add-on bits and pieces for 2 Point Hospital, which is weird, but now those are all done, and throw those in the bin, as they say in England, because 2 Point Campus
in the bin. Get in the bin.
In the bin. We also have some leaked Destiny guns, allegedly.com. I'm going to turn this over to LeGrand and Dale, because you guys found some real.
Listen, man, like my buddy at Bungie emailed me, and he's like, "Yo, Sony's going to be super pissed if they knew I was sending you this list, but just because you're my bud, here's the list of new Destiny guns that are coming out this next week. Cult of the Lamb. This is an assault rifle. It's very metal, you know what I mean? So it's coming to Destiny. Also, Sword and Fairy Together Forever. This is a dual pistol combo. They're adding a new weapon type to the game. Dual pistols. Sword and Fairy.
It's like Ebony and Ivory, Sword and Fairy.
Yeah, in Hunt Showdown, there's a Jekyll and Hyde pistol gun pair, and you can actually wield them dual wield, which is kind of cool. Anyway.
Nice.
And finally, Love, Money, Rock and Roll.
I like the idea that there would be rock and roll in the far-flung future in Destiny, where stuff is glowing, but they still have rock and roll, like Kiss.
Have you not seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Right?
Only the Fallen have rock and roll.
Only the Fallen have rock and roll. They're the only ones out there having any kind of a good time.
I love that.
Also here we have they're bringing Sonic costumes to Fall Guys. So there's going to be
that's wonderful.
Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik, Eggman, whatever you want to call him.
All these fat little.
My son was playing Fall Guys the other day on the PlayStation 5. So
I watched part of
game's still alive. Still alive and well.
God, I don't even know if it was Sonic 1 or Sonic 2, but I saw like, I don't know, half of it or something out of the corner of my eye. Which one is the one where it ends where Eggman is controlling a gigantic robot?
Every one of them
thing.
That's
like a mile
Sonic.
Tall or something.
That's like his jam, right?
I never saw the second movie, so it's probably that.
Probably the first one.
Put a pin in that idea, because we actually have some Sonic movie information coming up.
Great.
But elsewhere in news and topics, I found this one pretty interesting. So Activision, which we know is now basically a huge conglomerate of companies that they've acquired. This includes King. Is it King Digital?
Candy Crush
mobile
guys.
Actually, they're the Candy Crush people, so it's all coming full circle.
Yeah, King.
So between them and now Diablo Immortal, they are making more money doing mobile than their PC and console business combined.
Yeah, but their players can't find matches into games.
Yeah, they're whales.
Too much money.
Yeah,
here's the real question, though. Do you think that Diablo Immortal, were it not on the Diablo IP, would be making more money?
I'll tell you
Or does
this.
it require the strength of the Diablo IP because
Diablo
of
Immortal
PC
Privilege?
Diablo.
It's without standing on the shoulders of Diablo 1 through 3's giants, right?
Yeah.
Diablo Immortal for me turned out to be this huge hype no buy thing because I was like for a long time. Well, I know.
Oh, you were about it. You wanted to at least check it out. Right?
I was like, and I think I did download it, but I have not loaded it up once.
I played it some. It was okay,
I played it
but
a bit.
I kept just thinking, why would I not just go and play Diablo 3 instead?
That's when I started playing Inquisitor Martyr. That's a way better game.
That's exactly. That's same here.
I just wanted my continuing quest for big boy games on mobile. That was kind of where I was sort of interested in that. I don't know. Maybe
I mean, it's definitely that. The problem is that the gameplay is actually pretty fun. There's just every time you turn, it's like, hey, buy this dumb thing, or hey, you beat Leoric, so buy this thing, or hey, every single time you turn it on, it's just full of that mobile bullshit. That if this game wasn't like on Apple Arcade, like that's why Apple Arcade is such a cool concept, because Apple basically says, hey, put your game on here, we're going to pay you, but you can't have microtransactions. There's no bullshit. Right. Like Grindstone on Apple Arcade is a full-fledged game that's you play on Apple Arcade, and there's no mobile anything. So
that's why you didn't play it until now, Jeremy, is because Grindstone was an Apple Arcade exclusive for a long time.
I mean, it's been 3 years, so apparently it's been just.
It was one of the like launch things for Apple Arcade.
Right when Apple Arcade came out, I played it like right when I got Apple Arcade. I had it on my phone, but and on the iPad I played it as well.
LeGrand, I have some bad news for you because that whole model is paying off for Activision.
It's fine, but that's what I'm saying. Like they can do that, but it's only going to live so long if they don't. I mean, they could never go to be a mobile only studio because Diablo Immortal is only successful because the IP exists outside of the mobile world. Like nobody gives a shit about Diablo Immortal if Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 and Diablo 1 didn't exist. If it was like Kill Guys Immortal, like nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I think it's hard to make that case because the people who are playing mobile games, like I don't know how much brand. I mean, let me ask you this:
people who are playing mobile games played Diablo 2 20 years ago. Like that's.
Are you suggesting that this is the hardcore Diablo fans who are paying them a bunch of money for this? Because I don't think that's the case. So just think about that.
I think that those people, hardcore Diablo fans that were Diablo fans 20 years ago, now have big boy money, and now they're playing Diablo Immortal.
They could be. It could be.
And like, there's a lot of people that fall out of gaming, but also, oh my gosh, I saw this ad for this Diablo Immortal. I loved Diablo 2 when I was a kid. I'm check that out.
For Dune 2 to come to.
I mean, we are not the target audience of Diablo Immortal, clearly, but as you have seen, like there's an audience for it, but. I'm just saying, like, do we think, and I want to ask you guys both this, do you think if it didn't have the Diablo IP, how successful would it be? Obviously, it wouldn't be as successful.
It would be zero. It would be just another clone.
Mobile shovelware. How many mobile action RPGs are on mobile devices? Tons of them. Are they all successful like Diablo Immortal? No. Successful because it's Diablo.
I think that the financial ecosystems of mobile are difficult to. I mean, look at all the stuff that makes money on mobile. It is not always branded stuff. In fact, it is probably mostly not. I mean, look at Candy Crush. Like,
but look at the percentage of games that come out on mobile that make $0. You know, it's just like all the shovelware on Steam. Like, how many games come out on Steam that make next to nothing?
But for example, I think that being like, for example, let's say that from the Candy Crush company. Here is a hardcore action fighting game with like monsters and demons and stuff for not for your wife, for you or whatever. I mean, I don't think that it would like tank as an idea. Now it may not be as successful, but I'm not sure that it's ramped up all the way either. So I don't know. I think it's speculation to say that that this Diablo game is making all of its money based on all of the Diablo fans that played in the 90s.
I'm just saying people know what Diablo is, even if they're not Diablo fans. Like, it's like, oh, Diablo game is on mobile. I like mobile. Check it out.
Diablo is now like a 25-year-old, storied game franchise. Right?
They should have based this on Twilight, and we should like start getting some of these like Candy Crush moms over into like some third-person action RPGs.
And you could put in like, like story in between.
That's right. And there's like some kissing or whatever.
Like lots of kissing.
Yeah, like some smooches.
Well, here's the thing. I think that what Activision realized is that people, in fact, do have phones, and that's what they've discovered.
Yeah. Well, and now they're making more money on that. So, I don't know. Call of Duty. So
what are the games Activision has on mobile? They have Call of Duty Mobile, which I've played. which
yes. Let's see. Call
they
of
have
Duty
Diablo
Mobile.
Immortal, Candy Crush.
Actually, here's the thing. They
I'm
actually
gonna hear a
address
list.
that here. Call of Duty Mobile is not what has been Candy Crush and Farm Heroes brought in over $680 million for them.
In a year?
Yeah, so of their total,
Wow.
$831 million in mobile earnings. PC and console together, 376 and 330. Do some math on that. 700, and then $105 million they made from events and esports, which is kind of weird. So 830 versus like $700 million, and 680 million of that were from Candy Crush and Farm Heroes. And then, Diablo Immortal, what did we say that was $100 million? So even I guess out of the big pie over at Activision Blizzard, even Diablo Immortal is not making the bucks either. So
yeah, it's the moms that are playing Candy Crush and Farm Simulator or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Get like Twilight, package it or something. I don't know.
My wife plays tons of games. She plays more games than I do, time-wise, but she plays on her phone. She plays this, whatever she finds, and she actually doesn't spend money, as far as I can tell. I mean, I follow the finances
pretty closely.
Yeah,
what if she was like a secret,
one of the whales, and she has like some side account she's siphoning money to fund her mobile habits?
Yeah,
probably.
My energy comes back in 3 hours. I've got to. Oh gosh. Well, back in the realm of big boy games that actually make no money whatsoever, Arcade One Up, which is a company that makes modern day arcade cabinets out of all kinds of old timey games. They announced at Evo, which I guess we didn't even really talk about, but Evo happened last week. But they're doing a Marvel versus Capcom 2 cabinet, and I guess cabinets are different than they used to be. This comes with like Wi-Fi. And it's going to come with all kinds of Marvel versus Capcom games, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, X-Men versus Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom, which I played a lot of, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, all of that are all going to be on this same arcade cabinet. They haven't announced a price, but I guess typically these go for $450 to $500. And, I don't know. That's still less than some people pay for Diablo Immortal, I guess. I don't know.
This is one I would be interested in potentially. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is like cool. I loved Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
That's right. I'm take you for a ride.
That was always really a very flashy game in the arcade. Like you'd look at that game, and there was more stuff happening on screen than any other game, basically.
Yeah, that's because they would bring in all the team guys. Like you'd have like 3 dudes, and like they'd jump in, and
you could swap out characters, and there's like the little ancillary helper dudes that would come in and like shoot. Like Mega Man would fly in and shoot some projectiles, and then jump out. Yeah.
Good game. Then we've got from the Dale and Jeremy file, Tactics Ogre Reborn. Dale, what do you have to say about this one?
So not a lot of people have got this lowdown, the skinny on this. I happen to follow on Twitter. What's the guy's name? Alexander O. Smith, the famous,
the guy who localized
the translator
Final Fantasy
of a lot of good games, right? Yeah, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy Tactics,
all the Evil stuff, all the stuff that's Shakespearean, like Elizabethan, like what's forsooth and what for.
Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, the first remake of Tactics Ogre, being one of his joints, or I say his. I think he works with one other dude primarily. And so apparently they are now operating a translation house or service. And they were again called to work on Tactics Ogre Reborn, which is, if you're not familiar, way back in the distant lands of the 1990s, there was Tactics Ogre, which was a PlayStation tactical strategy, tactical RPG, right? Then in about, I think it was 2010, that game was remastered and re-released for the PlayStation Portable, and it was given a first-class translation by these guys that we're talking about right now, as well as a really nice graphical facelift with at modern stylings, certainly at the time, right? And so that version is apparently what is being further tweaked for this upcoming new re-release. And the tweaks include, I believe it was like fully voiced voice acting in cutscenes and stuff, as well as like a rebalancing and retooling of the way that character leveling in that game goes, which if you're not familiar, the way that that would work before was that each character has like a job class or like a class of warrior that they are. And all characters that were that class would level up like at the same time. So effectively you would have your like archer class would gain a level, or your barbarian class would gain a level, or your mage, the black mages would all gain a level, or whatever the class is. And so that could lead you down some roads where like you would have a weird sort of balance, because like some of your classes would be way more over leveled compared to some of the other ones. And then what happens is when you get into um, a battle, the opposition side is all based off of like the highest level of anybody on your team. So you could have like a weird lopsided and uphill battle a lot of times. Hopefully that is being sorted out in the new way that they're doing the leveling. Because another thing that could happen is you could end up with like named characters that just like weren't very good, but that you ended up having to have on your battle on your team quite often just because they're named characters, right? And things like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Pretty stoked for this. It's looking really good. What I've seen.
yeah,
So far, which is
I'll
not much.
be. I have actually played through and finished Tactics Ogre. Let Us Cling Together, the PSP version.
Yeah, I actually charged up my PSP on the airplane this last week.
Well, you can play it on you can play it on your Vita as well, and it looks even better on your Vita.
That's right.
And I in fact I played it on my PlayStation TV. Remember those?
Oh, I still got mine. I was looking at it just the other day. I've got it up on
Yeah,
top
I
of my
got mine in
chest
the
of drawers.
closet in there. I was like, oh yeah,
Nice.
this thing. I played
It's
a
gonna
game
be worth
on
some
that.
money someday, Dale. Hang on to that.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, it's a great game. It has a really cool narrative behind it. It's like based off of some history in the Balkans, some like early, I think 20th century, 1900s, some like 20th century stuff. I think leading up to World War
I mean,
I.
that's got to be World War I if you're talking.
Yeah,
about
it's like around that time. I think it's a little bit before everything actually kicked off. But so the story, the real life history is sort of taken, and things, I guess themes are adapted to this fantasy world. But yeah, it's very cool. So yeah, anything, if you've ever played like Final Fantasy Tactics or Vagrant Story or Tactics Ogre way back in the day.
They're redoing the score, by the way. They're doing like an orchestral score for it, which I'm super stoked about.
Oh,
that's something
good.
I hope comes to vinyl.
That could be good.
That's good. It's got a great score.
So yeah, something to look forward to from the genre that we don't really see a whole lot of these days, do we?
That's true. Well, folks, that is not all the news that we've got, because we still have some yummy, tasty little game morsels coming at you in the new speed run. Start that music.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie gets a release date. It's coming out December 20th, 2024.
Aside from Dale, who thinks he saw it, did LeGrand, did you see the second Sonic movie?
No. I haven't seen the first one.
It was the second one, by the way, that I saw. Because I remember in the beginning of that one, like Sonic is already established as a character, and he's like living with this couple, and one of them is the dude who's on Westworld also.
So did you watch the whole thing, or did you just catch the end of it?
It was playing, like the kids were watching it while the adults were doing other stuff.
Got it.
So it was like, I saw parts of it here and there.
Well, we've got 2 years to catch up before the new one comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pac-Man also going to get a live action movie apparently. Game Bytes Show rates it an aggregate 12.
Yeah, I don't know. I just assumed, it does not look.
Yeah, it's probably if we would do a Rotten Tomatoes challenge on Pac-Man, 12 is probably not all that far.
I hate when they call this stuff live action, when they're like, oh, it's a live action Aladdin. And it's like what I really
90% CG.
I wish that they would do it about a guy who just like wears a Pac-Man suit, like one of those big fluffy, like,
Yeah, like a black box stage play sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wouldn't that be great?
Like the film versions of like Hamilton or whatever that you can watch, like,
yes.
But it'd be like in that style.
I would give that a 78 at least if it were then. Well, speaking of a genre that we don't see very much, the Firaxis XCOM-like game Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is sort of a superhero Marvel XCOM strategy game, has unfortunately been delayed until next year.
Doggone
womp womp.
Steam is now officially supporting Joy-Cons in single or dual mode.
Which I think what this means for me is that now if I can get something like, if I got a Steam Deck, I think that I could use my Super
Use
Steam Deck
Joy-Cons.
to play in bed with my Joy-Cons down at my sides and just, I could live the dream with a Steam Deck. That's what that means to me.
Less than 1% of Netflix users are playing Netflix mobile games, according to report.
I don't even know where those are even being marketed at, because I know about them because we do this. Like,
do you go into the Netflix app on your phone and then like there's some like mobile games there?
You download them, so they're like branded on the store as like Netflix Shatter or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
And then when you play it, you actually have to log in with your Netflix ID. It's actually kind of inconvenient, but apparently nobody's really using it.
Way to stray from your core competency, Netflix.
Yeah, look for this.
Well, it's not like they're developing games; they're just paying to try something new, which I can appreciate.
If they could just make it more convenient and easy to access, that would be a lot better. Well, Dr. Disrespect, who sometimes pops into the news here at the Game Byte show, I think we knew that he was working on an upcoming arena shooter or drop in and circles expand sort of thing. His game is called Dead Drop, or DEA Drop, or Dead Drop. Dead Drop. I don't know. It's a spelling that I don't particularly care for, but he started showing it and it looks all right. It's fine.
A drop.
It's probably fine, I guess.
Well, Super Punch-Out has a secret 2-player mode just discovered after 28 years. How could this?
I think it was because somebody was mining some code or something, or they disassembled it and found it in there.
Was it not ever supposed to be used, or what?
I don't know. That was the thing. Let me just take a look at this really quickly, because I think that it looks like it actually works. So yeah, apparently you can.
It was like cut at the last minute, and they were like Miyamoto came over and was like, I don't really like the 2-player mode. Let's just wall it off a little bit, like put some drywall up in the house where that is.
The interesting thing that it says here is that the discovery was made, quote unquote, while doing some request work on Super Punch-Out, and there were cheat codes on top of sound test codes and Japanese named input sheets that had previously been known. So I don't know what request work means, but I guess they found it in the course of work, I suppose.
U.S. courts have ruled that AI cannot own the patent to inventions that they generate.
Have you guys seen? I wonder. Have you guys seen some of the DALL-E?
Yeah.
There's a new version of that. Have you guys seen some of that new stuff? That's
seen some pretty cool, like impressionistic looking stuff that comes out.
Yeah, and the new one is just insane. But it didn't really occur to me that that you could bend that stuff toward making something functional out of electronic schematics or whatever. Like maybe they could.
So the AI can't own the patent, but what if I created the AI? Can I own the patent?
Somebody must. I mean, other than that, you could just. Here's the thing. Here's what I would do. Just get an AI, a patent generating AI, and then just have it run all day. Instead of farming for Bitcoin, farm for patents, and come up with a new cottage industry there. I guess
that'll work.
Bitcoin could be one of the useless patents.
Yeah, that's probably true. So one of the Embracer group, the long-standing, uncomfortable to pronounce Koch Media, has changed their name. Dale, I see you smiling there. It's not funny.
It's Koch Media, please.
Koch, yeah, exactly. Is getting a name that I don't feel. I think it's only a lateral move in terms of difficulty to pronounce.
Plow.
Play-on or something. I think it's supposed to be play on, but it's also kind of dumb.
It's probably play on.
Yeah.
Play on. Legrand, this is all you.
Oh, Vampire Survivors has added totally OP cheat codes just because that game is all about breaking the game anyway, so why not?
Yeah, that's what the guy said. The inventor's he's like, I'm not really too concerned about balance. This is just for single player laughs.
Yeah, it's only a single player game anyway.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Dead by Daylight. Fun fact, when I was in Japan, for some reason I saw a lot of Dead by Daylight like fashion goods.
Really?
That's weird.
Yeah, like with the how like it's got
a pretty popular game.
Like that's their like little.
Oh yeah.
Imagine making a game, but then it's popular in like Cambodia or something. Like your main market is just in like some weird.
Yeah, I went to several places and I saw like weird Dead by Daylight like caps and shirts, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
That's wild.
Anyway, it's getting a dating sim spinoff, which okay, all right.
Weird. Why not?
It's called Dead by Daylight, Hooked on You. which I think that's pretty funny.
Oh
Which
yeah,
I
because it's guy has a hook or whatever.
because you hang the people on the hook, which actually I would think would be sort of uncomfortable for the Japanese market. I thought they were not into like, I don't know, like meat hanging in Japan.
Meat hanging. Yeah, they never hang their meat. It's a weird cultural
I don't know.
superstition.
It's like
Hung
leaving the
meat.
fan on,
Yeah.
in Korea.
Yeah, exactly. You'll die if you. Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought the name was cool, and it's available for sale on Steam, $10 if you're one of those thirsty Dead by Daylight Japanese fans that's out there running around. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of your Game Bites Show
I just
podcast.
downloaded 2 Netflix games on my phone.
Nice.
I downloaded the Hextech Mayhem game, that League of Legends spin-off game is on there. And I downloaded a simulator, like a towns building simulation game.
Did you guys get around to watching Arcane yet?
I've watched most of it.
I haven't. I was thinking about it.
It's so cool.
It is so good.
I will. When I get into when I finally like take the plunge and play League of Legends, I'll watch the TV show.
Don't play League of Legends. Just
Watch
watch
the
the
TV show.
And then get into League of Legends.
It'll make you want to play League of Legends. It's the opposite.
That's how I want to do it. That's how I want to do it.
I actually played a League of Legends game after I watched Arcane, and then I realized I don't like playing League of Legends. Yeah, so I played Wild Rift instead. Wild Rift is still good.
Hey, by the way,
rules, though. It's really good.
This just in: 2% of Netflix players are now playing games. Folks,
they've doubled their player count as of today.
That's right. That's right. If you have any thoughts about the games that we talked about, if you want to share what you've been playing with us, if you have any news that we missed, anything that you wanted to bring to our attention, find us on social media. Let us know all about that. You can find us on twitter.com/GameBiteShow. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at Legrand.
And I am at Count Elmdor.
Fourth man, Jared Red Eye Dunn, wherever he is, at RED_I. Jared, we know you're out there. Come back to us. Come back, Jared. Come back. You can also find us at youtube.com/GameBiteShow, where you can watch this thing live as we do it live. Also find us at GameBiteShow.com. You can find the back catalog of all of our syndicated podcasts there, as well as a standing invite link to our Discord server where all the cool dudes hang out. Come join us there. And we have a new travel channel. You can... I think we talked about this last time, but I keep forgetting to put stuff in there. Me in my rumpled clothing, wearing it for the third day in a row. Let me take you on a magical journey with me.
I'm a cool dude.
Come along and ride on our fantastic voyage.
That's right.
Slide, but don't iron.
And folks, if you want to hang out with us again when we do the show again, we'll be back next week to do this all to keep you edified, entertained, informed about all of the goings-on in video games and adjacent transmedia areas. If there's anything else that we can do for you, let us know. We're in Game Bite Show, etc., so on and so forth. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Be seeing you.
Beep.
All right.
Wonderful. Well,
Stop
my voice
in the
held up better than I
stream.
thought it would.